So surrounding yourself with people who are further along in their area of expertise, I think is going to benefit your life overall exponentially.
So you want to make an impact. You're thinking about starting a business, sharing your voice. How do women do it that handle motherhood, family, and still chase after those dreams? Well, listen each week as we dive into the stories of women who know. This is Call Me CEO. Everyone, you are in for a treat for this episode. We have a special keyword at the very end of the episode to win a playset from 2MamaBees that is valued at over $1,000. So make sure you listen to the episode all the way to the end so you have your opportunity to win a playset. Welcome back, everyone, to Call Me CEO. It is so good to be back with you guys today. I took a nice break. It's been about 6 weeks since I've interviewed, and I've been to Paris and I saw Taylor Swift, and I spent a celebration with my husband of 20 years of marriage. And I'm coming back in feeling so fresh and excited to share more stories of incredible, amazing entrepreneurs, mamas doing their thing. And today is definitely not the exception to that rule. We are speaking with Juliana Van Lannen and Sam Alavi, who are co-founders of 2MamaBees. And this is a luxury company of play equipment and turning play into a structure that is fun and work, not only just for the child, but for the parent to be involved in the growth and the business of having fun. So thank you so much, ladies, for being on the show today.
Thank you. Oh my God. And congratulations. Happy anniversary.
Thank
Oh my
you.
gosh.
I know.
That is incredible.
I must be a grandma. I'm like, how has it been 20 years? Like, it is just
Yeah,
blowing
you
my
don't look
mind.
like you look like you're 20 years old.
I got married at 12. No, thank you. I appreciate that. So tell our audience where you live, first of all, a little bit more about you. We were doing some tallies of the amount of kids between us, and it's a lot. So let's hear a little bit more from both of you about where you're from and a little bit more about your families.
Perfect. So we live in South Florida, so outside of Fort Lauderdale area. And I am a mom. Between the two of us, we have 8 kids. I have 3, so wide age gaps. One is almost 18. And so I have one that's going to be going off to college next year, and I have one starting kindergarten. So I have 18, 15, and 5.
And I have 5 children. I have a 12, a 10, a 9, 5, and a 3-year-old.
Mhm.
Wow. So like we
Yes.
said before, just the full spread, which is bananas, because my youngest now is 8, oldest is 16. And it feels like even between that spread, it's like I have my older 2 and my younger 2, even though they're split like evenly between them. I don't know how it feels, but the activities are so different, but the energy that's needed for both are so different and so the same because it takes a lot.
Yes.
So I applaud you both with all of
Thank
that.
you. Yeah. I was telling somebody the other day, I'm like, I feel like I am actively participating in one of their lives and financially funding the other 2 right now. It's just a much different journey that we're all on.
For sure. So you're living in Florida. How did you guys come together as a partnership? I'm assuming you are friends, if not very best friends. And I love that when we first started talking, I said, okay, so who wants to answer what? And immediately it was, well, one of us really likes to talk and the other not so much. We'll let you figure out who. But how did it come together that you guys decided to do this?
So we're best friends since we were 15. And our story really started Sam's 3rd child, her son, her only son, was born with autism. And her husband kind of came to me and said, Sam, which Sam is, even though she doesn't love to talk on these, she loves to talk. And she kind of, withdrew a little bit, I would say, and was just having a hard time navigating it. So I think her husband was trying to support her in that way and say, even if she makes like $100 a week, just something that's for her, that's just herself. And just so happened that It was kind of like the late 2019 when like all the Chip and Joanna, like everybody was DIYing. So we were like, we could DIY with the best of them. So we built some window boxes and threw them up on an Etsy shop. And that was really how organic the beginning of our journey was. Never in a million years would we have guessed that we would be where we're at today, of course. But a lot of hard work along the way. I mean, fast forward to now, we have our own brand of products, and we're in over 110 retail locations. So, but it started just, Sam's backyard, and we were building window boxes, and then we built a porch bed swing. It was really just products that we wanted for our own homes, and then decided to see if anybody else wanted them as well and gain traction that way.
Wow. I think it's really interesting from doing interviews a lot of the time. It's born many times out of necessity because there's a hardship that comes. And I love that for you, it was a part of identifying who you were again, Sam, but also connecting to your child and your family and what could we do that's different, but is something we want. And so it's twofold of that purpose. Can you talk to me a little bit about what that brought out of you at that time?
I think it brought out like just a lot of joy. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah,
We had a lot of fun. We would, just talk. We did the playhouse and we would just dream really big.
Yeah.
Like, what if we were in Target? I remember always being in the car, being like, when we're driving around buying all of our competitors, to do them.
I should probably touch on that. So Sam had one of our competitors' playhouses in our backyard and had gutted her backyard. It was stunning. And it was like this brown, like not very aesthetically beautiful playhouse.
We know what they look like. Yes, we know what they look like.
We all know.
Yeah.
And so we painted it and no idea how we would ship it. So we built crates around it. Like we had no idea. I mean, it was to the point where when we did the first rounds of painting our competitors' playhouses, which is how the Etsy shop kind of like branched out into now our own brand. If it started raining, we had the pieces like propped up against a tree. So one of us would be like, you got to go pick up all the pieces and get them out of the rain. And like, so we had a lot of fun. And yeah, like she said, we would drive from like Target to Target, like, especially when it got closer to Christmas season, and just buy every single playhouse they had available. We didn't care what it looked like. We're like, we could probably sell it. And we would say, like, imagine one day we come here and like a 2MamaBees playhouse is here. So yeah, we did. We really did dream a lot then. And now we're in Target.
Oh my gosh. So how long have you been in Target?
Almost a year.
Yeah.
Just about a year now. Yeah.
That is insane. I mean, yes, you've been doing this for a while now, but from start to now, how many years? Like, that's a pretty short runway to go from idea, I want to be in Target, and now you're in Target. Like, what was that timeline?
So Etsy shop started late 2019. And we launched our own brand. So within the first year and painting that playhouse, we had almost 1,000 sales. So it went quick. It was like rapid speed. So it was Sam's backyard, my backyard, one warehouse, two warehouses. We were literally in the warehouses. I quit my corporate America job and we were in hand painting playhouses for 14 to 16 hours a day with no AC, repackaging them and shipping them out. And then on the back end, like behind the scenes, developing our own brand. And so we lean into that a lot as like our market research years. And we pretend like we knew that's what we were doing now. But, Etsy is such a different platform. It's so intimate the way you communicate with your buyers. So it was super beneficial to us because we got to have like these really like real and raw conversations about what their feedback was on the products. So then when we went and developed our own brand, we were able to take all of that feedback and encompass exactly what a consumer would want. Like they want to be in the playhouse with their kids. They want room to be able to comfortably play. They want to be able to, like actually engage with their children for longer than 5 minutes. So all of our one-story playhouses are almost 6 feet tall inside. So like just that framework, but launching our own brand of products. They rolled out October of 2021. So yes, it is. We're about to hit year 3, and it has been tremendous growth, tremendous traction in a short period of time, and we just feel so, I mean, blessed. Obviously, that's the, like what's happened for our brand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. I'm literally blown away. You can't see this video if you're watching on YouTube, but I'm just like, what? This is incredible. I would love to hear what those growing pains were and how you were able to keep family. I mean, you have a lot of kids. So how did you keep your balance in check or imbalance? What did you do? How were your partners involved? Like what was the story behind the scenes as you were in this quick ramp of getting into Target and growing this brand and painting in the crazy Florida rain and the heat? I mean, that's a lot. So paint us a story of how did that unfold, I guess it's the right word.
Yeah. So I would say where we're at now is the healthiest version of our company for ourselves and for our families. Mm-hmm. And Sam is way better at this than I am, but Sam is really good at establishing boundaries, right? And prioritizing time with her families. I'm navigating that journey. I'm a work in progress. But so early on, there were no boundaries, none. Oh my gosh. It was 14 to 16 hours a day in a warehouse. Mind you, we were pregnant. We gave birth to little girls a day apart. And you ask how our partners helped. So we had Rain and Aviana a day apart, and within 48 hours, we were back in the warehouse. So Sam's husband ran the front end of the warehouse, and we would have the girls up in the front end, and he'd just be like, Aviana's up for feeding, and we'd go running to the front. So there were no boundaries. It was just a lot of like hard work and sweat. So making that transition into our own brand, and finding the right fit with manufacturing team and having that support has really overall benefited our lives in such a dramatic way, because now, we can be more present as parents and there for the day to day. I know that one year with we were in the warehouse Christmas Eve until almost midnight and still had to go home and play Santa, so it was it was a lot of like sacrifice. I think we say that to all our kids, like I guess people don't recognize when you're an entrepreneur how deeply everybody around you is involved as well. So every win is all of our wins, right? Because everybody in this family and both our families are in the trenches with us. And we know that I travel quite a bit more than Sam does. Time away is hard too, so any win is celebrated by the whole family. Like we'll all go out to dinner and everybody is involved because it's everyone's sacrifice.
Yeah, I love that. Is there a way that you have included your kids in those celebrations? Like, what does that look like when you are celebrating the wins?
Yeah, so all of our products are named after our kids. And we kind of like do some branding within the brand where we have little bios about them. And if you order a product, like let's say you can kind of see it in the background. That's the Aviana Play Kitchen. That's my youngest daughter. If you order one, you get a little follow-up email with like her little cute headshot and what do I love about my mom? And what's my favorite color? What do I want to be when I grow up? So again, yeah, they're extremely involved. They're our why, right? Like for everything that we do. And the celebrations usually look like dinner, and then home in bed because we're tired. It's not that extravagant, but maybe one day it will.
Honestly, keeping them in the conversation and a part of that development and those conversations, I think that alone counts for everything, that they know this is a family effort and we are going to go through these wins together. Can you tell me about a time that you went through a struggle and maybe what that looked like or something that you learned from something that went wrong?
Yeah. So the first run we ever did, we sourced our playhouses from overseas. And we happened to source them. We were quoted out like at the time 5,000 to ship a 40-foot high Q, which are those like really big shipping containers. Anybody who doesn't know like the lingo, we ended up paying 38,000 per shipping container because COVID hit. Yeah, so when we originally were supposed to bring our first round of playhouses over, we sourced them from overseas. And at the time, it was briefly before COVID, and we were quoted 5,000 for like a 40-foot high Q, which are the really large shipping containers you see on the boats. We ended up paying 38,000 per shipping container once COVID hit. So, I mean, it was a tremendous hit. And even though we did everything, I mean, we did all the research, we did all the, we had a boots on the ground overseas who visited the manufacturing facility directly. We paid for all the quality control, and like the products were good, but it wasn't consistent. And so year one, we literally went right back to the drawing board, and we were like, this isn't the brand. This isn't the representation that we want. This doesn't have longevity. So we brought all our manufacturing to America. So financially, we took a hard hit really early on, and then we doubled down on it and decided that wasn't enough of a financial hit. We would decide that we would move all our manufacturing to America, which meant retesting every product. I mean, you have to redo everything all over again, twofold. But with that being said, a lot of lessons were learned, and it has probably one of the driving forces now behind our success. So worth it, right? Would do it again, would ride that ride one more time. But yeah, now we are manufactured in America by Amish artisans. And our craftsmanship, the quality of the products is heirloom quality products. And not even just that, like the customer experience, because we're consumers, we're moms, right? And we're the ones who got stuck with assembling a lot of this stuff. It's not always the men out there doing it. And so,
for sure.
Yeah. So our Rain 2-story playhouse, for instance, is our largest, and it takes roughly an hour and a half to 2.5 hours to build. Our competitors take 8 to 10.
I was going to say that's short. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Almost the entire unit comes pre-assembled, but we would have never been able to do that when sourcing overseas. You kind of, you get what you get, if you will. And you don't have a ton of room for changing, especially, their manufacturing capabilities when it comes to boxing items and what fits. And it's just, there's so many different aspects that they have to look at, where now we're able to be a little bit more nimble and, movable, so we can make changes in real time, and we can make improvements, and like we can hear our customers and make adjustments according to what the market is telling us we should make adjustments to, right? So it's paid off tenfold, but was still a hard lesson while navigating it.
Yeah. Oh my word. That is so fascinating. I think, again, another thing with COVID, I've heard so many stories about having to pivot to American-made products and new manufacturing and new quality control. And it's fascinating to me. This brings something to mind where I was listening to the Olympics this week, and the person who was narrating or telling the story of these Olympians, they said, when you look at these Olympians, you may assume that they've always been the fastest, the best, the people who had the easiest way about it of getting here. And he said, but any story I've ever heard is someone who has suffered the most, worked the hardest, and fallen over and over again, but kept getting up. And I loved that message, that it wasn't that, sure, there are some physical qualities that would lean more towards one or the other sport. That's just fact. But to assume that it's always the easy way, or that it doesn't come with lesson and trial, is just not, that just isn't the way it is. And so I love that for you, saying we would go through it again, is those bumps and those trials were essential to the success that you have now, and the lessons that you learned and that you have now from experiencing that. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. It's funny that you said that, because I read something today, and I can't remember his name per se, but I know he was like in sprinting, and he he was an orphan. So he was until he was 4.5. And it's same storyline. He was just explaining how like his journey of perseverance was really there. And yeah, what a good way to like segment. And it is. I mean, it's different. Like we're like running for a gold medal, but we still, we've won gold medals, 8 of them.
Yeah, that was so cool.
For manufacturing. Yeah. But it is, you have to have that perseverance. I think that's one thing that Sam and I do really well is we have a really positive outlook. It is difficult to take us down. Like when the hard hits come, we're always supportive of each other. We always show up for each other. So it's if one of us is like having an off day, the other one really picks up the pieces and can like carry us through. So that's been great. Like the support of each other along the way has been extremely beneficial to the perseverance of our brand.
Yeah. Oh, I'd say, that would be my next question is as a partnership, what is something that you've done to keep communication clear? Because I think breakdown of any relationship is typically a communication issue in some way or another. What is a way that you two have stayed connected and communicated effectively?
You know what's so ironic is we just started it last week. So it is true. I mean, we're best friends, but do we talk about work for 6 hours a day? And then maybe you're not really wanting to have a conversation about life after you just had to sit on the phone for 6 hours dealing with other things. But last week we went to Pilates and then we went to lunch and we didn't talk about work at a single time. We put our phones away and we reconnected as best friends. And I mean, if there was ever like a day that like one of the kids is doing something or the husband's doing something, like, yes, she's the first person that I pick up to call. And I'm like, pause on 2MamaBees because I got to tell you this part. But yeah, I think staying reconnected is important. It is like a marriage. I mean, we're in this for the long run until the wheels fall off together. And it's almost a little bit, I mean, I don't want to say it's there's different levels of importance, but people's lives rely on us keeping our relationship together, right? Like people's entire livelihoods, like, so that's pressure. It can be pressure. So, finding ways to like connect outside of work and still be best friends on top of it is not always easy, especially when every day is like you're sometimes in the trenches for months at a time together. But we always show up for each other. Like I know I can always count on her, and I think, she knows she can always count on me.
Yes.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much.
We do good boundaries. I think we've started really good. Yeah. It's good.
What do you mean by boundaries? Tell me what some of those are.
Where when we started, it was work. That's all we did.
Yeah.
Every day in the weekends. Because but now we don't work she might work like I do.
It was a season. It's different seasons.
It is.
Totally.
I think moms nobody can relate better to seasons of life than a mother, right? Because you're in the infant stage. Same thing with the business. When it was in the infant stage, you couldn't look away for a second. You had to be on top of it every minute. We're in the, they're walking now. It's walking, and it like feeds itself. And so, we're at that stage now. So it's been, it's growth and understanding and, being understanding to that as well, that it's still important, and we still have to show up for it. But as far as boundaries are concerned, like I think I said this early on, Sam is very good at creating boundaries for herself and for her family. So like travel isn't something that she does as much for 2MamaBees. I like the travel, so I'm fine with it. And so, just hearing each other out and understanding where each other are coming from, being receptive to like, she doesn't have to love all the same things that I love. I know podcasts, not exactly her thing, but here she is showing up for me, and so vice versa, there's some give, some take, and then there's some hard lines that we respect each other enough to not cross.
Yeah. We love each other. We're best friends.
Yeah. I mean, we do really genuinely love each other too. So there's that.
You can
We love
tell.
each other's families.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, you can tell. It's really good energy and the way that you feed off of each other. I love that so much. Now, one of
Thank you.
your missions is to empower families through purposeful play. So not only are your playgrounds gorgeous and beautiful, I wish when my kids were tiny, I had this. I want one for myself. But tell me a little bit more about your initiative for bringing families together and giving them the ability to play together, and also how that is incorporated with your development as well.
Yeah, I think so. That's something Sam and I really are working on ourselves as well. So we're meeting with industry experts. So, I mean, up until like 2 weeks ago, we didn't even know that there was such a thing as a play therapist. We were introduced to a play therapist. So think speech pathologist, OT therapist, play therapist, learning and growing from them. It really comes back to what our initial mission was, which was, helping Sam, supporting Sam, but also sensory development. We learned so much in the journey of Makai, and he's also my godson, watching Makai's growth and what he's been able to endure and accomplish through different play therapies. And so being able to then integrate that back into our products, like our play food. I mean, environmental consciousness is huge for us. So everything is pretty much made out of wood, even our play food, but it can be cut in half and Velcroed back together. There's sensory development there. There's motor skills that our kids are learning. And I think we've been kind of like powwowing back and forth about it. And I had one of the speech therapists said, your child's only job is to play. Right? That's it. Like they just exist, and everything that they're learning and growing through is through play. And as a parent and as an adult, it's almost ingrained in you that your job is to work. I mean, even when you're a mom, it's still, you don't think of it as anything other than this is a job. This is what I need to show up and do this. Right? So finding ways to help parents bridge that gap between I'm playing with my child, but during this play, I am helping them develop these skills to better set their life up and to better help them accomplish goals that they should be accomplishing, right? And being engaged in those moments. So it's really, we're on a journey right now of learning ourselves, like meeting with these industry experts and just saying, tell us everything you know, tell us all your knowledge, tell us what else can we add to our play sets, to our products to make them more sensory friendly, to develop them. We're working on, and we haven't talked about it yet, but I guess,
yeah.
Okay. So we're working on, I know I said that all our products are named after our own kids, Makai. And so the Makai is going to be really close to our hearts, obviously. And a percentage of the proceeds will go to Autism Speaks. But what we really want to focus on is making sure that that product speaks to sensory awareness and the fact that he is on the autism spectrum, being able to really encompass different items that are necessary for developmental growth with children that are on the spectrum. So, we care like deeply about what we're doing and the products that we're creating. And we're not specialists in these fields, but we have the ability to learn and listen and grow from them as well. So it's a focus point for us right now. Mm-hmm. And we're excited about it. We're like, I'm like loving it. Like it's incredible to hear other people's perspectives of what play is like as kids, and then go home and I'm like, Vivi, come do this with mommy. And like, I'm watching her accomplish these things that they just got done telling me on like a 2-hour Zoom call. Here's what your child could. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's really working. It's really happening, and it full circles back then to, as an adult, like I'm working, but I'm playing, and they don't know the difference. If you're just there and you show up, they love every second of it. Mm-hmm. So however you need to compute that in your brain to make you engage for longer, like that's me. I'm a workaholic. So if I'm recognizing that while I'm playing with, especially my youngest, that it's work and it's helping her grow, it makes me like be 2 feet in, like I'm all in and I'm engaged for such a long.
Oh, that's so cool. I remember, so I actually started my education doing Montessori learning. Are you familiar with Montessori? I would imagine
Oh,
you are.
yeah, we have Montessori products.
Yes, perfect. And what was so interesting, and I remember it because my brother, just older than me, was struggling with reading. And underneath that was a lot of issues with learning in other classes because reading was not coming together. And my mom decided to take him out. And at the time, I was starting kindergarten. And I remember the first time coming into this Montessori classroom. And Montessori is all about real life engagement and education through play. It is very hands-on. And I remember walking in and seeing a kitchen. I have a very clear 5-year-old memory of seeing this kitchen and seeing a place where there were dolls and wood blocks and building centers. And what's so interesting to me is that going in as a child into that space, it felt so exciting to me. But I also, in the 2 short years that I was there, was learning exponentially what my cohorts were learning at public school, which is really
Mhm.
interesting to me because it always felt like play to me. I always felt like it was so much fun and we got to play in the kitchen and play with the dolls and build the things. And I think that
Yeah.
our public education system is missing the mark of the importance of play. And that was a benefit that I had from going to Montessori school because it was so enlightening and such a beautiful way to learn. And so I really have a strong connection to learning and having work be your play. I think that is so cool. And the fact that you have products that the parents can go and play with their kids, because listen, we all know the times, especially as busy moms, where we're like, okay, I can play with you for 5 minutes, but then I got to go to the dishes and then I have these emails, da, 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 da. And like we just have this really busy mind. But I love the way that you're restructuring this of creating space for that play to be productive with your
Mhm.
children and reshaping and reforming what production can look like. And having recently gone to European countries and the way that they approach education and the way they even structure their day, it is so different from America, where they get up, they go to work, they take 2 to 3 hours off during the middle of the day, and then they come back. And I feel like if we can incorporate more of that, like play can be restful and productive and also educational too. What a gift that is for us as Americans. Like
Right.
we need more of that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, that is, I feel like I completely agree with you. There was my oldest daughter, she struggled a bit when she was younger. They put her on the spectrum and then they ended up taking her off. But I used to always tell her that Dr. Seuss saying about like if a fish tried to climb a tree, how much of a failure would that fish think he was? Because a fish can't climb a tree. And like you're so spot on tries to box these kids in. And when you don't fit in this perfect box, and I mean, you have 4 kids, right? And I have 3. Not a single one of them are anything alike. They lived in the same household. I mean, I guess they get a different version of us, is what I'm hearing from outside therapists and everything. But still, I mean, they are drastically different human beings all on their own. And so I think when you try to fit kids in a box, it's not everybody just fits that norm. And the majority don't. And finding ways to better support your children and support their development and support their growth. And like you said, I bet you learned more in those years too. I bet it resonated so much more profoundly than
Mhm.
any lecture you've sat through in first, second, and third. You know what I mean? Like, and so you're right. It's like those moments, they really do. Same thing. I went to a Montessori school when I was a kid as well. And then I went to Catholic school, drastically different
Fair.
retention, if you will.
Yeah. Well, that is so neat. So tell me, just looking forward to the future, you've been on this fantastic runway. What advice would you give to the people who are maybe in that first, and I love how you compared it to infancy and toddler and little kid. What advice would you give to them that are in that spot of just feeling like, oh, we have no boundaries, I'm burning at both ends? What would you say to that person?
I mean, I feel like it wouldn't be much different than what I say to like my mom friends who are new moms. Like, and I hate to keep using it again, but it is just a season. And I mean, I'll stress all the buzzwords, right? Like, you got to work on your business and not in your business. And you gotta, like there are those things, and they are, they are a buzzword because they're meaningful, because that is where your business is going to be able to shine, when you put people in the places that they are the best at, right? Like Sam and I said it, like we hired a marketing team, best thing we ever did. We don't know anything about marketing. I literally told her, I go burn the entire thing to the ground, because we didn't know what we were doing. So surrounding yourself with people who are further along in their area of expertise, I think is going to benefit your life overall exponentially. I know it was, and we were hesitant, right? We were hesitant. How will we afford this? We weren't even really paying ourselves. We're going to go pay somebody else. It's made more money than what it's cost us. Let's put it that way, because that's what they do. That's what they're good at, right? Like that's why we hired them. So just trusting the fact that, like, finding ways to trust your business, trust that what you're doing, what you're developing is going to continue. It's not, I still feel this sometimes. I'll be like, if we don't get a sale for like 2 days, I'm like, it's all over. Sam's like, no.
Okay, it's okay.
So I mean, like, yeah, it's valid. Like the fears are all valid. Are you kidding me? Of course, especially when, like I said, when people's livelihoods depend on it. It's like when they start to mean so much to you, the humans that you surround yourself with become your family. Like our manufacturing team is like family to us, and like watching their families grow and develop. And they sent us, like, this past Christmas, they sent us the most meaningful letter about like how we changed their whole life, and he can be home with his wife and kids more because now he gets to primarily focus on our brand. I mean, that's a lot. It's beautiful and it's really special. It's also a lot of pressure. So, just putting different people in the place where they need to be so that you can better step away and shine at what you shine at, right? So nobody else can tell our story the way Sam and I can, because nobody else lived it, nobody else built it the way we did. But other people can do Instagram posts way better. Our CFO can read numbers way better than we can, and so having those people in place, that's where I feel like that's when you can start setting those healthy boundaries, because then you have people that you can lean on and fall back on and know that it's not all on you anymore. But again, it's a season. It's not going to be day one.
Well, I love that you brought up the term season, because I'm actually opening a coaching called Call Me CEO University, which teaches how to become an entrepreneur from a solopreneur. And I feel like that's the biggest gap, is when you're trying to wear all of the hats, and you need to go from doing all of the things, like you said, marketing and CFO and the actual production, to hiring people around you, and what are the steps to doing that. So this group coaching is opening up in October, and this is a great time for me to plug it. So thank you for bringing that up. But I love that you said that, because honestly, it's the growth, being willing to take that step of fear and the unknown of growth into trusting that you're going to keep showing up and doing the consistent thing, whatever that is, and then encircling yourself with people who are better at doing those things than you are. And I think that you nailed it on the head with that statement, because it is scary and you don't know exactly what that's going to look like, but it's taking that step into the unknown.
Yeah. It's like constant trust falls. Every day a new one.
Yeah. Well, that's so great. Well, listen, everyone, we have an amazing announcement, and I'm going to do a little plug for this at the beginning of the episode. So if you didn't hear it, hopefully you'll hear it now. We are blessed by these women, because they are going to be doing a giveaway of their play kitchen. What's the name of the kitchen that you are doing for this one?
It's the Aviana Gourmet Play Kitchen, and it's so cute. It's so cute. But it does have some really cute features. So it has a little chalkboard that magnetizes, so your child can draw like maybe a chicken, and then it magnetizes to the inside of the oven, so it looks like that's what's cooking in the oven. So yeah, so adorable. Like I said,
I want your kitchen. This is so cute.
I know, I do too. I'm in my kitchen, and my little one's always, that's hers. My little one, her name's after, but it's a beautiful kitchen. Thank you.
Okay, so the keyword or the secret word, we're going to be plugging this when we share this. So this is what the keyword is CEO. And if you use the code CEO, you will get 15% off of any of the products. It also will enter you into winning the product. So the way that we're going to do this is that you need to be following both of us on Instagram. And then you also need to DM us the keyword, which is CEO. That's the only 2 steps. Make sure you're following us on Instagram. I will put these directions in the notes below, and then also send in the keyword so that we know that you listened to the episode. Now I'm going to pause right there just for a second.
Yeah, you're good.
All right. Well, I just want to wrap this up by saying thank you so much for coming and sharing your story so authentically. I feel like this is one where born from a need, a passion, a friendship, and the guts of it all. Like, I feel like you guys really put it on the line, and you still are. And that's so admirable. And thank you so much for coming and sharing your story with us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in. Please go ahead and give this episode a like and a rating. That helps other people to see it more. Also, if this inspired you, please send us an email or DM us on Instagram. Real conversations from women doing the things in the trenches. That's what keeps us inspired. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode, and I will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Hey CEOs, thank you so much for spending your time with me. If you found this episode inspiring or helpful, please let me know in a comment and a 5-star review. You could have the chance of being a featured review on an upcoming episode. Continue the conversation on Instagram at Call Me CEO Podcast. And remember, you are the boss.